Hello all, welcome back to Sri Sai Tech Edu YouTube channel. Read, Lead, Success. I am dealing with the subject Research and Publication Ethics, and under Module 3 Publication Ethics I have already done first topic and second topic. Now we are with third topic, that is conflicts of interest. If you have missed out any of the topics from Module 1 and Module 2, they are available in my channel. You can go and check out. Today our topic is conflicts of interest. In conflicts of interest we will see the different topics in this video. Conflicts of interest. What is conflict of interest? A conflict of interest in research can be defined as situation in which an individual has interest in the outcome of the research that may lead to personal advantage and that might therefore in appearance compromise the integrity of the research. Conflict of interest exists when a person may take compromises with his professional duties and responsibilities under the influence of vested financial or non-financial interests. The conflict of interest does not refer to actual misconduct, but it refers to one's potential of getting indulged into an unethical practice or committing misconduct. So, conflict of interest comprise those which may not be fully apparent and which may influence the judgment of author, reviewers and editors. They have described as those which when revealed later would make a reasonable reader feel misled or deceived. They may be personal, commercial, political, academic or financial. Types of conflicts of interest. There are two types of conflicts of interest, that is financial or tangible, non-financial or intangible. Financial conflict of interest is nothing but a financial interest relates to monetary profit or reward. It includes payments, consultation fee, honorarium, gifts, IP rights, patents, copyrights, royalty rights, or other monetary benefits from the companies or research sponsoring institutions. For example, a scientist studying the health effects of a certain product may receive funding from the manufacturer of that product, potentially influencing the results of or interpretation of the study. Non-financial means what? It doesn't involve any payments. A non-financial conflict of interest occurs when an individual or entity has competing interests that are not primarily financial or tangible in nature but still have the potential to influence their decision making or actions. A non-financial secondary interest related to what? Academic, religious, personal, political and such other interests of researcher. It also includes recognition, prestige, career advancement, power, relationships, enmities, identity, desire to publish, etc. For example, consider a peer reviewer who is evaluating a study that decreases the importance of reviewer's own research. So this could lead what? Reviewer to recommend rejection of the study even if study itself is original or robust. Understanding? So another example may be reviewer creating a situation wherein his or her papers to be cited in the published work. In that way. How to determine conflicts of interest? The Integrity Coordinating Group has outlined an excellent list known as the 6 P's that researchers can use to determine whether the conflict of interest exists. How to determine? 6 P's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Purpose, position, person, payment, policy and publicity. Purpose. Researchers should consider whether their actions align with the primary objectives of their research, ensuring that personal interest does not compromise the integrity of the study. Position. Researchers should evaluate their roles and responsibilities within the research context and avoid using their positions to pursue personal gain or benefit that conflicts with the research objectives. Person. Researchers need to assess their relationships with others involved in the research, including colleagues, sponsors or stakeholders, to identify any potential conflicts of interest arising from personal connections. Next is payment. Researchers should disclose any financial interests such as funding sources or consulting fees that could influence the research findings or their objectivity in conducting the research. Policy. Researchers should adhere to ethical guidelines and institutional policies regarding conflict of interest, ensuring transparency and accountability in their research practices. Publicity. Researchers should disclose any potential conflicts of interest to relevant parties, including funders, journal editors, and research participants, to maintain transparency and trust in the research process. Why must authors disclose conflict of interest? Why must one author should disclose conflicts of interest? Almost all scientific non-technical journals require authors to disclose potential or actual conflicts of interest related to the study. Some journals, like Journal of the American Medical Association, requires authors to submit signed financial disclosure statements. Other journals like BMC Cancer insist in their guidelines that a separate section on conflicts of interest be included in the manuscript and that any details be provided in the covering letter. When declaring conflicts of interest, researchers are expected to provide detailed information about relevant financial interests, grants, financial support, and funding received from industry and other intellectual benefits like filed or pending patents that represent future financial gains. Researchers are also required to specify the role of the funding organization or sponsor in the study design and conduct, data collection, analysis and interpretation, and manuscript drafting, review and final approval. It is very important to inform journals about conflicts of interest. Journals may not always publicly disclose conflicts of interest at the time of publishing the paper. However, if any of one questions that the study or raises doubt that a conflict of interest exists, the journal will publish the author's conflicts of interest disclosure and mention that the author has already informed the journal. This makes the author's conduct seem less suspicious. If the authors had not informed the journal and it is discovered that conflict of interest did indeed exist, the consequences can be very serious, including in retraction of the paper and investigation by the author's affiliated institutes. How to prevent conflict of interest? How to prevent them? Disclosure. You need to disclose the conflict of interest. Transparency. Be transparent while you are addressing conflicts of interest. Ethics review. Ethics committee should carefully review research proposals to identify and address potential conflict of interest. Independent oversight. Establishing independent oversight bodies or committees can help monitor and manage conflicts of interest in research. These bodies may include representatives from diverse disciplines, institutions and stakeholders to provide unbiased evaluation and guidance. Policy development. Institutions, funding agencies and professional organizations should develop clear policies and guidelines for identifying, disclosing and managing conflicts of interest in research. These policies should be regularly updated to address emerging issues and maintain relevance. Training and education. Researchers, students and other stakeholders should receive training on identifying, disclosing and managing conflicts of interest. Education programs can raise awareness about the importance of research integrity and ethical conduct. Mitigation strategies. What are the mitigation strategies? Researchers should implement mitigation strategies to minimize the potential impact of conflicts of interest on research outcomes. Peer review. Peer review plays a crucial role in identifying and addressing conflicts of interest in research publications. And reviewers should be vigilant and assessing potential biases and conflicts, and editors should consider these factors when making publication decisions. Public access to data. Providing public access to research data and methodologies can enhance transparency and accountability, allowing others to independently verify findings and assess potential biases. So this completes the topic of conflicts of interest. With a new topic, I will come up with the next video. Thank you from Sri Sai Tech Edu YouTube channel. Read, Lead, Success. Keep reading.